We're here at AI Engineer New York, and I'm with my friend Kevin.
Nice.
So, Kevin, let introduce yourself. So you work for Windsurf, right?
For Windsurf.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Kevin. It's good to meet you all. I work for Windsurf. I lead our product engineering team. So we're building the first agentic software.
So what is
IDE?
Windsurf?
It's the world's first agent-powered IDE. So we forked VS Code, and we started building around an agent to kind of accelerate software development.
Okay.
It can do things like a simple example is it'll know when you're viewing files, it'll know when you make changes, and then all you have to do is tell the agent, continue my work, and it'll actually finish the rest of your refactor.
That's for lazy software engineers.
Lazy software engineers.
Or
the vibe-based coding, as I hear nowadays.
For
yes. Vibe coding.
So you start the name of the company was Codeium, right?
Yes, we've actually been through 3 names, which is very confusing.
In like what? How many years have you been in business?
It's been 3 years.
Only 3 years?
Well, so funnily enough, we were working on Exafunction.
Okay.
Exafunction was an ML infrastructure company.
Okay.
So think, how do you get ML applications to run extremely fast? How do you get inference to be incredibly quick?
Okay, so you were kind of infrastructure.
We were infrastructure for a whole year.
LLM ops and all that.
For a whole year.
Okay.
Great business.
And then
but then we pivoted to application layer, and we built Codeium.
Okay.
Autocomplete, chat, search.
Because of an internal need? Because you want to, because
it's exciting.
Kind of
the market was huge.
Okay.
Yeah. We saw Copilot, and we thought there were a lot of things that we could do better.
Yeah.
And then we decided to train our own models, do all this stuff, and because of our infrastructure background, we gave away our extension for free.
Okay.
So we got millions of users using Codeium.
And then you say,
and then we were like,
business for that.
Then we were like, okay, let's start making money.
There's something.
Yeah, so we started selling to enterprises.
Okay.
Because we could self-host Copilot.
Okay.
Because we own the models, we own the infrastructure.
Okay, so
and we
you
own the
have
product.
Like companies who were asking for on-premise or like secure air-gap kind of...
So like Dell is a big customer.
Okay. Because they don't want their data to go to whatever.
Exactly.
So you add your own model, and then you can stay in your own local environment.
Can run without the internet.
Okay, because it's something that our clients are asking a lot.
Yeah.
So basically you can use, I suppose all the online big providers like Sonnet, like GPT or whatever.
Yeah, so that exists as well, and I guess that transitions nicely into the best reasoning models in the world right now are built by these foundational labs.
And I think you launched DeepSeek.
We launched
very recently.
Yes, we made DeepSeek free yesterday morning,
I think
something like that.
DeepSeek R1.
V3, R1 is
not R1, V3.
V3, R1 is at a very reduced price.
Yeah.
But this
R1
transitions.
is a very, very big.
It's more that it's a reasoning model, so it uses more tokens.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, and I guess we can talk about the pivot from Codeium to Windsurf. We've always been working on sort of an agent, right? We always knew the direction of software engineering was going to get more agentic as opposed to just tab, right? We knew that we were going to do more and more work.
The chatbot, which you just get rid of.
Yeah. So we decided, okay, let's move to agent. Let's build Windsurf around an agent. And we built Windsurf in 2 months and launched on November 13th. And so it's a relatively new product. It's been around for about
6 months?
4. It's February. 4 months. Yeah. And traction has been great. People love it. People love the agentic nature of things.
Okay.
I think there's a magical moment where you're just doing your everyday work, but because it has complete 100% context over what you're doing in your IDE, the agentic experience is just magical. You'll just tell it, finish this refactor or write me unit tests, and because it can search the web and it can grab your code base, it can look at your git diff history, for example. It can do all these things agentically. It gives you the insane superpowers, right?
Because the quality of the response of an LLM to an IDE is directly linked
to the amount of context.
The context.
The quality of context. Exactly.
And like the knowledge of the software engineer who knows which kind of context they're using for their problems.
Totally. So this is one of the analogies we like to make, and you'll hear this in the talk tomorrow, is that an LLM off the shelf, right, Sonnet, O1, whatever, they're like wicked good engineers, right, in the sense that if you give them the right context, they can write a lot of code.
Yeah.
But what they
lack... Right prompt as well.
Exactly. But what they lack is the context, the organizational best practices, the you can call it personality or personal preference, right? If you use React 19 versus 18, these sorts of things.
This is like your tone of voice.
Tone of voice, yeah, exactly, exactly.
When you're writing content.
Exactly.
Because your best practices, your coding guidelines, your test or whatever feature, flavor, or framework you use, it's like your tone.
Yeah. So Windsurf's
very important as well.
Completely, and I think that's what makes great software, right? It's the flavor that you bring as an engineer.
Not just out of the box, whatever.
Exactly. And so what Windsurf has allowed is you can spend more time thinking about what problem you're solving, the design of what you're doing, who you're building for, as opposed to, okay, let me write tests. Let me make sure the variable names are correct. Let me add doc strings, right? And so we
be focused on the plumbing.
Be focused on So we like to focus on letting our users dream bigger, do more, accomplish more. I mean, we write, I think at this point, it's like 90% of our users' code with Cascade. It's like the agent is just, it's ripping, and you can kind of, you can call it vibing, or you can just say you're kind of supervising a thing, and it's just able to generate so much for you.
And I've heard also about MCP.
Yes.
So what is it like in 2 words? Because like people don't understand what is
two
MCP.
words. 2 words is hard.
3 words. Okay, MCP. What is MCP, and how do you integrate MCP to Windsurf?
Totally. So Model Context Protocol, MCP, is a way for you to plug in custom tools. So the basic way that you can think about agents, you have kind of a planner. It knows has a set of tools in its toolkit, and then it can decide, for us, we have web search, we have editing a file, we have grep search, like all these sort of...
Very atomic kind of...
you can think of them as primitives. Like as an engineer, what do you reach for the most? You got to edit the file, you got to, that sort of thing.
Like screwdriver, saw,
primitives.
Whatever.
Exactly. But now let's just say, you're a specific type of builder and you want to use, you use Stripe, right? You'll use Stripe's MCP server because a primitive, it's not a part of someone's general toolkit to be like, get me the subscription status of this customer, right? And so companies are now coming up with their own tools which allow you to say, hey, get me that customer profile, or migrate my database, in the case of Postgres or Neon. And so these MCP servers are a way of connecting a very powerful agentic system like Windsurf to an external service that wants their tool to be a part of the ecosystem of agents.
Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm kind of old. You can see with my gray beard. But it's just like the old kind of soap of RCP. When you were like calling remote procedures and all that kind of stuff. Except it's agent, LLM, and it's made for agent.
Yeah, it's kind of like plugins for an LLM.
Okay, that's great, and it's getting very much traction right now.
Yeah,
so we can see like MCP. So MCP comes from Anthropic, I think.
So Anthropic,
they mount that, and it's kind of a de facto standard.
Yeah, it's become more of a standard.
Okay.
I think it's interesting. We don't know exactly how this framework is going to mature and manifest. There's things like state authentication, error handling, like things that are not entirely ironed out.
Yeah.
But at the very basic level, this is something that Anthropic came up with a pattern for. We have a close connection with their team, so they were telling us, the best practices.
It makes sense.
And it just lets people, like you can even make your own MCP server, right? And so you have ways for Windsurf to now control your browser, or do the database migrations. There's so many, order pizza, right? These sort of things that maybe are a bit more custom to a person's workflow.
So do you think like in the next coming years we're going to have tons of MCP servers that are going to be in directories and accessible directories for LLMs to kind of pick up whatever MCP you want to...
So I imagine a world very similar to kind of like a vending machine of sorts, where you're like, okay, I work with Supabase, I work with Postgres, so I'm going to enable these MCP servers, I'm going to enable this specific version of documentation, and all of this can be either explicit by the user or inferred, right? Because the whole point of an agent is to understand your code base better than anyone else, right? And so we'll say, you're using Supabase version, whatever, let's now turn on that MCP server. We can now interact with it. So when you ask a question that says, the migration is like a simple one, or like populate it with mock data or whatever, you now have access to literally change the online production resources, as opposed to what I would tell you before, which is here, go to this URL, step 1, step 2, press this button, step 3. So it can actually do things on your behalf.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That's great. Yeah. So how do you like the event so far?
It's good.
Yeah,
it's
it's
good.
really cool.
I mean, I think like meeting people like you.
Yeah. It's pretty cold outside, right?
It's
really freezing.
This is how I don't know how people
New
live
York
here.
is freezing.
I cannot. I'm from San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which is it's foggy.
Thank you very
Yes.
much, Kevin. It was really
Yeah.
nice talking to you,
Yeah.
and I hope like people are going to look at windsurf and try the Cascade and the MCP
Yeah.
and all that stuff, agentic stuff.
There's a free trial if you want to give it a shot, but
Cool.
it's
Thank
awesome.
you very much.
Thank you.